Coming up on TekThing, it's our annual backup special. When should you start to back up your data? Our 3-2-1 backup plans, replacing Crashplan, and yes, 360 terabytes on a tiny glass disk that'll last 14 billion years. It's all coming up on TekThing. Thank you, patrons. Without your support via patreon.com/TekThing, we wouldn't be able to make the show for you each and every week. Join the crew that makes TekThing possible at patreon.com/TekThing. Thank you.
I'm Shannon Morse.
And I'm Patty Norton.
And this is TekThing, where we have something useful in every single show.
We have a giant dog pile of useful things in this episode.
But first, I think we should mention, this is not our normal studio.
No.
Where are we?
We are in a new secret location somewhere in Northern California.
Yeah.
And you may notice it's a little echoey.
It's very echoey. We're very aware of the echo. We're in the midst of fixing it, as well as putting up a backdrop and lighting and everything else.
Our sound diffusion and absorption system will be in place as fast as we can get it up there.
You're seriously seeing like the minimalist studio right now, but yeah, everything is growing and getting more positive super soon, so we're really excited about everything that we're doing here.
A couple weeks ago, I did a call out saying, hey, we're going to do a backup special. What are you guys thinking about? And at Engage Guy.
Engage Guy.
At Engage Guy, which I'm assuming is a train reference. He tweeted, after my HD failure I tweeted to you not too long ago, I would suggest you give your listeners some tips on the importance of the backup of hard drives and what to do if they start to fail.
Yeah, that's a good point.
There are so many ways for drives to fail, or worse yet, just disappear, right? So people steal laptops. Laptops get destroyed. Laptops, what am I saying? Laptops, desktops, you know, your thumb drive. I mean, fire, flood, earthquake, theft.
Yep.
Car accident. A friend of mine lost a laptop when the back of his car got smushed so flat they couldn't actually get his laptop out. I think eventually they like sawed it out with a plasma cutter. Don't wait for a drive to start to fail. Everybody should just start backing up right now, because invariably when we talk about like 3-2-1 backups, somebody the next day, we get an email, like the show goes live, and the next day one of two things happen. We get an email and somebody goes, you know, I never backed up, but I backed up after watching your show last night. And then my hard drive died. Oh. Or the other one was like,
man, that's the hardest.
No, the hardest is when somebody's like, you know, I saw your show last night and I thought, you know, someday I should back up.
Oh no, and then like the next day
their hard drive dies, and they email us from their phone or somebody else's computer. Core of the backup system, we talk about 3-2-1 backups.
Yeah, that is right. That means that you're going to have 3 different copies on at least 2 different mediums. At least one of those is going to be offsite. So we should probably talk about what we use to give them some examples, wouldn't you say?
I think it's a wonderful idea, because we also get asked like, well, what do you use to back up? Do you use this? Do you use that?
Yeah, I get that question a lot.
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, so your first copy of your data, right, is right here.
On my computer.
Or right here, right?
On his computer.
It's your local drive, whether it's a laptop or your desktop. That's like your first copy on the first medium.
Right.
In my case, the second copy I only do for specific files. For example, my media files, my work files, my special data that's important to me, whether it's business or personal, or the ever so important photos that have come off my phone or my wife's camera. And those go on to usually an external hard drive and a Drobo 5D. And what's cool about like the Drobo 5D is, for me, I can use Backblaze because it shows up, it basically, I'm going to say it functions like a NAS. Drobo, don't get upset when I say that, but it's a really easy to manage NAS. It plugs into my desktop by USB 3.0, and Backblaze will recognize that as an external drive, and then I can use Backblaze to back up all of the files that are on my multi-terabyte external enclosure.
That's handy.
It's handy, and you know, with 5 drives inside of there, if one dies, I still have my data because it can recover that.
Yay.
And like I just said, Backblaze, which can back up external drives, like I mentioned. That's my personal favorite. It's like $5 a month if you pay per month. You get discounts if you pay for a year or 2 years in advance. I play around. I'm back and forth again with using a Synology NAS. But a lot of times now, just for simplicity, I have a lot of media on the NAS and I experiment with the NAS. But most of my backups, I kind of have that covered with that direct relationship to Backblaze. So Backblaze, keep up the good work.
Also, you probably hear a ton of construction going on in the background. That's because there is construction going on here today, so just keep that in mind. Yeah. Don't yell at us in the comments. I know it's really loud, but don't worry, everything is going to be changing in the next couple of weeks. So I should probably talk about my own backups. So the first one that I use is, of course, local drives. That would be my main copy that I access every single day, whether it be music or videos or even my Photoshop and video templates, pretty much anything, you name it. And then the next thing I do is have a Synology going in the background. So I have that sitting back at home. It's just a NAS. And I also have an external hard disk drive, which I keep in a fire safe. I know that this is overkill, but my Synology NAS hard disk drives have been dying over the course of the last few months. Like they keep on beeping, and then I just get annoyed and I unplug the whole thing, which I know I shouldn't do, but I do it anyway. So it's just a thing. I know I shouldn't do that, but so
sometimes it's time to replace your hard drive.
Yeah, it is. So having that unconnected hard disk drive is kind of my fail-safe, so that's why I keep it in a fire safe separately. So I have fixed the degraded NAS drives before, but that just seems to be a temporary fix. It seems like what I really need to do is just go through those hard disk drives and replace them all, because they are 4 to 5 years old now. So I just need to sit down, budget it out, and finish up that project. So that's just one of the many things on my list. But for clouds, I actually have a different backup. This one is called SpiderOak, which I have mentioned before, and you can see it over here on my computer. They have a bunch of different pricing options right now, but the one that I use is $149 per year for unlimited backups. That was a special that I got in on during the holiday season like 2 years ago. Now they have a few different pricing plans that they released for 2018. They have that no knowledge policy, the encryption before transfer, and automated daily, so I don't have to worry about it. And since I use multiple machines for my office and for my home, such as this laptop, for example, SpiderOak also lets me sync across multiple devices. So if I need to access something that's on my home computer that I backed up to SpiderOak, I can access it from my laptop through the SpiderOak software, which is great. And
I should point out, Backblaze also encrypts your data before it goes over the connection to the pipe.
Yeah, very important.
People point that out to me all the time. You know what's encrypted? I'm like, I know. I know.
And this is number 4. I know it's 3, 2, 1, but I have a fourth thing that I back up on.
Good.
But this is just because of convenience mostly. So I also use Google Drive and Google Photos, like you can see here on my computer. I have a ton of pictures backed up. I just use this for really quick sharing, quick backups whenever I'm on the go. My Pixel XL automatically backs up photos at high resolution for free via Google Photos, and the docs are easily accessible via Drive. So this is basically my oh, did I remember that document? Right, it's on Google Drive. Or, oh, I should Instagram that photo. Right, it's on Google Photos. So that's where I keep my additional backup of things that I'm accessing every day. So basically the SpiderOak and the NAS at home are the things that I'm like, store these forever. I hopefully never need to access them, but probably will eventually if my computer dies. Day-to-day usage is Google Photos and Google Drive.
3 copies, 2 different mediums, at least 1 off-site. You got a suggestion on a great way to back up your stuff? Do us a favor, email us, ask@TekThing.com.
Did the Tesla on SpaceX's first Falcon Heavy flight carry the densest, longest lasting storage media ever? Or are people just making it up? Using 5D technology. Yeah, it did. I cannot believe it. It did. It's insane.
So Brian emailed ask@TekThing.com. Can you review or get more information about the ARC Mission Foundation? I'm wondering if this will be available for common people. Brian.
Can we just talk for a moment about how insane this is? Because I'm still just like
the Falcon Heavy rocket, the sending the Tesla into space, or the little tiny
pretty much the
glass
entire
disc.
week. Like I seriously thought that I had drinking too much wine or something, and I was just like, what's going on? Is anybody else seeing this on Twitter right now? What in the world? But apparently it was a thing. So why don't you give us a little bit of info?
So I was, like you, Brian, totally fascinated by the ARC, spelled arch, pronounced arc, and the whole idea of 5D data storage by ultra-fast laser nanostructuring in glass. And I actually already had it slotted into this episode because it's crazy. So the Arc Mission Foundation put an Arc 1.2 disk loaded with Isaac Asimov's Foundation trilogy on the Tesla, which you can buy off of Amazon. Not the Tesla or the Arc, but the Foundation trilogy. Their Arcs are a, quote, specialized long-term archive device that is designed to hold and transmit data over very long periods of time and in extreme environments such as in space or on the surfaces of other planetary bodies. If you're familiar with Asimov's Foundation trilogy, you get the idea of Wikipedia in space and the Arc Foundation.
Oh, it's so perfect. So as you can see over here on Patrick's computer, Nova Spivak, the leader of the project, wrote that our goal at the Arc Mission Foundation is to permanently archive human knowledge for thousands to billions of years. We exist to preserve and disseminate humanity's knowledge across time and space. Time and space and time and space. Sounds like a Doctor Who thing. For the benefit of future generations. So all the knowledge on a disk probably won't show up on Amazon in the near future. I feel like it would be a little pricey.
A little pricey.
A little pricey.
Well, at this point, there's like a half dozen of these disks in the entire world, right? So, the Arc Mission Foundation is
Arc.
Arc.
I keep on saying Arch.
It's okay. They spell it Arch, right? So they're looking at some really sick next-gen storage technologies, but what they sent up in the Falcon Heavy is something that looks like, well, let's get the one next to the human fingers.
It looks like a little mini disc.
It looks like a little mini disc, right? It's a tiny disc, and it's laser optical data storage in quartz, or more accurately, quartz silica glass. And when you take a look at it, the whole concept is really wild, right? It's not a joke. University of Southampton, their Optoelectronics Research Center, this disk, the idea is in the final version of this disk can store 360 terabytes of data. It's thermally stable up to 1,000 degrees Celsius and offers, quote, virtually unlimited lifetime at room temperature. Or if you're kind of into temperature nerding, 13.8 billion years at 190 degrees Celsius. At least in theory, which is a tad more long-lasting than, say, your average thumb drive.
Wow.
Yeah, so the actual file is written or read by a laser, and the 5D part is because it's written in tiny patterns, written across 3 layers of nanostructured dots, separated by like 5 micrometers, or 1/1,000,000th of a meter. And if you want to really geek out on this, search for this PDF, 5D data storage by ultrafast laser nanostructuring in glass. Catchy, isn't it? Well, if you start looking at it, right, the part that gets to me is you scroll down and there's lasers. Here we go.
Oh,
so right in here. As a result, so each laser imprinted spot stores 3 bits of information. So if you look at it from a different angle, it has different, so that's why they're making it so dense. So instead of like 1 bit on a disk equaling 1 disk,
that breaks my brain.
Yes. Yeah, it's the readout of the recorded text file is archived by BX51 Olympus Incorporated optical microscope-based quantitative birefringence measurement system, the CRI Abrio. Both the slow axis and retardance distributions on the binge refrain spot array were...
I'm lost.
birefringent.
Birefringent. That sounds delicious.
It's not. So I mean, this is a lot of information right here. And right now, what you're actually looking at is, the slow axis and the different. It's amazing, the idea of this, and this is real, legitimate, this is actual science.
It's amazing.
I imagine, Brian, that common folks like us will not be buying nanostructured glass disk storage systems on Amazon anytime soon.
Nope.
Certainly not by this holiday shopping season.
Nope.
And if I understand it, this is like a write once, read many technology. It's not rewritable, but then again, so were CDRs back in the day.
I remember those days.
Yeah, I remember those days. Hopefully this won't be sort of a blip on the storage continuum. And remember, this was a theory back in 1996, and now there are working examples in space.
Incredible.
In space. Isaac Asimov in space again.
I know, I love it. I love that it's Isaac Asimov. I love that Tesla decided to do this, even though I'm not big on space junk, but whatever. But it's just cool. It's so interesting and amazing that we can do this in 2018.
I like to think of it as one less Tesla trying to force its way into the line under the bridge, and 2, it's 360 terabytes and something this big.
That's nuts.
The sum of human knowledge on something you could wear like a bad 70s disco medallion. Yes. Patrons make TekThing possible, and if you support the show via patreon.com/TekThing, you get early access to the videos, a weekly list of our top tech stories, and more patron-only content. You'll show up in the show credits and our wall of thanks. We even do monthly hangouts with our $10 and up patrons. Seriously, thank you to all our patrons. You make TekThing possible. Now, if you want to be part of the crew that makes TekThing possible, please contribute to the show at patreon.com/TekThing. And if you can't contribute, it's okay. If you got a question or curious to see us review something, you got a tip or an idea, fire them out to ask@tekthing.com.
Jake is in the camp that has to transition away from our dearly beloved Crashplan. He's got the offsite data storage covered, but he adds, my current setup uses a few of the Crashplan features that seem to be unique. I have a desktop, it's Windows 10, and a laptop, a MacBook Pro. Along with cloud backup, I have Crashplan duplicate the desktop's extra important items like my Lightroom library, totally agree with you, to a second physical drive within the machine. I also have my laptop copy itself over to the desktop. I've always loved that the feature was simply built in, and instead of buying more devices, I could use the extra storage in my desktop. I even toyed with the idea of doing remote syncing to and from family or friends. But now what do? Is my only option to get a Synology or Drobo type device and have multiple pieces of software doing local and remote backups? Thanks and keep up the good work, from Jake. Oh, Jake, we totally feel for you, man.
Crashplan.
Our dearly beloved.
I mean, the thing that made Crashplan cool wasn't that it backed up. It was all these other things it did in there, including the idea that you could use their software and back up to your friends. Like, it would create this sort of round robin of backup. Look, it had a bunch of unique functionality built in, and it was made really, really easy to use.
Oh, yeah.
All in one place. Insert bitterness here.
I feel like somebody's bitter over here.
No.
And of course, using a Synology NAS or a Drobo is definitely an option, but you can also DIY your way around buying more hardware too. That's totally possible. You can totally build your own NAS.
So let's start with backing up your extra important items like your Lightroom library. You still have that second physical drive in your system, right? Check out this really awesome open source application. It's called FreeFileSync. It's really simple. It compares folders and it synchronizes the content and it creates backups. I mean, it's one, it's really, really easy, and two, there are a ton of offerings in this area. Good Sync, take the hassle out of file backup and synchronization. And if that's not enough for you people, there's Always Sync, which is up to 18.0.3. And by the time you're up to the 18th version of something, you usually have the bugs worked out of it.
Right.
So for backing up because he's got a Mac laptop,
right,
which technically can't write to NTFS on your desktop. I was going to say share a folder on your desktop and write to that, but that means buying Paragon NTFS for Mac or getting your command line on to get Apple's NTFS drivers running, or did last time I checked inside OS X. Hint, Microsoft NTFS for Mac by Paragon. Much simpler as far as I'm concerned than getting into the command line. But then we got an email from Gregg.
That's right. So Gregg has got something awesome. He said, looking forward to your upcoming episode about backups. When Crashplan stopped their free backup to friends option, I tried a few other products. Haven't decided on a Linux backup product yet, but I am using Duplicati for my Windows machines. Duplicati. That's so interesting. I had never heard of Duplicati before this.
This is amazing, right? Again, another open source project. Lets you back up your files to a laundry list of cloud storage providers or an external hard drive or a NAS. Is this starting to sound like Crashplan yet to you? If you take a look at their sort of, okay, so we've got Windows, Debian, Ubuntu, Fedora, Red Hat, Mac OS, OS X. Less frequently used items include Windows 32-bit Synology and zip files, because why not? The source code's up on GitHub, and they have other versions that they're working on. And it's actually, like, aesthetically speaking, for an open source application, it's quite lovely. And if I open up the screenshot, you'll actually be able to see it at home.
I personally thoroughly enjoy open source applications myself.
Even if they don't have aesthetically pleasing interfaces?
As long as I can fix it myself.
Oh my goodness. So the problem you're running into, by the way, is why a lot of folks just pay $5 a month per machine to load stuff up onto Backblaze.
Yeah.
Or in Shannon's case, SpiderOak.
SpiderOak.
Yeah, it's a lot simpler. Though technically having one copy on your laptop and one copy of your cloud is only 2 of your goal of 3 copies.
Right. So if anybody out there has recommendations for backup applications yourself, or if you have used any of the ones that we just mentioned here, definitely let us know. We would love to know how they're actually using in a personal use case scenario. Ask at TekThing.com, or you can tweet at Patrick Norton or at TekThing. We got an email from Patrick who says, "Hi guys, love the show. What's the app called to create a backup of a fresh reinstall after the updates and favorite apps are installed? Thanks," from Patrick.
Oh my goodness.
What is he talking about?
Backup images.
Oh.
Imaging your drive. Literally a copy of every single thing on your hard drive. They are great if you constantly need to load the same stuff onto multiple boxes, or if you regularly foobar your box and wipe it fresh, or in my case, I first started imaging drives where in between each product I tested, I had to wipe the system and start fresh to give everybody
I thought he was talking about a specific product, like a specific application.
Well, there are a lot of. There are a few there are like dozens of products that do this. So if you want to create a backup image, Windows and Mac both have options built into the operating system. For example, inside of Windows, they have backup and restore your files, which first showed up in Windows 7, disappeared in Windows 8, came back in Windows 10, and can literally create a full system image backup. And of course, on the OS 10 side of life, how to use Time Machine to backup or restore your Mac is still basically, it's the thing that's built into the operating system.
Right.
On the Mac side of things, people love CloneZilla. Great tool for imaging OS 10 and Linux machines. If you are looking for something free for Windows and you're not particularly satisfied with what's built into Windows, Macrium Reflect Free is the classic free option for creating images of Windows disks. It's free, but you don't get incremental backups. Incremental backups, or they're faster, what they call rapid delta restore, which basically makes it work faster.
Okay.
And of course, Acronis True Image is probably the best paid option, or at least the one that gets editor's choice the most often.
I've heard of Acronis, that's for sure.
$49.95, but don't complain because you're talking about creating something that'll make your life easier when things go horribly wrong.
That's true.
A disk image is not a backup unless your disk image is constantly creating individual backups, and we'll get into the sort of science of, whenever I kill a system, I usually just want to go bare metal and start fresh rather than reusing an image.
Same way. I am the same way. But if you have very pertinent customizations that you've done to your operating system or things like that, it's really, really good idea to have those kind of backup images. If you have ever dealt with ransomware, you probably know how important it is to have some kind of backup image as well as backing up all your data alongside that.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, and make sure there's at least one copy of the data that's not connected to your machine, because ransomware will often encrypt everything that's attached to the box.
Pivoting, it's a thing.
It's a thing.
Oh, that rhymed. Go me.
Got a better tool to image your disks? Tell us about it. Email ask@tektthing.com and we will share it with the whole crew.
All right, we have ended this crazy middle of the construction episode.
Team Echo is in the house.
Big thank you to our TD today. We have somebody switching the cameras for us. Thank you, Perrin, you're awesome. So remember everyone, once in a while, put down your phone, step away from the screen, close your laptop, and do something analog like Nate, the old school otaku. I am also an old school otaku myself, who writes, "After moving into my fiance's place, I needed a place to store all of my media, so I made some media shelves designed for a snug fit for DVDs. Nice. I still have a few more I needed to put up to finish everything that I have out of boxes and onto these shelves. I think they turned out well for not having a lot of the tools I need for cutting wood and instead just having the lumberyard do the cutting for me." From Nate, the old school otaku. And as you can see on my computer, he sent over a ton of photos of his organization, and wow, I gotta say that is a amazing collection of DVDs you have there. So very cool, very cool. Great job, dude.
At some point you look at the wall of DVDs and you're like, I don't need to rip these to the hard drive.
That's all I've been doing for the past year, is ripping DVDs to hard drives.
I'm re-ripping all of my audio discs.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's only about 700 now. Things peaked out at around 1100.
Oh my gosh.
I got a music thing. I stopped drinking and I picked up a nasty music habit. And for the person who emailed and says, I don't know what this gesture means, believe me, I know what this gesture means.
Oh.
It's not this gesture or this gesture, it's this one. It's a lifestyle choice.
Oh my gosh.
I'm Patty Norton.
I'm Shannon Morse.
We'll see you next week on TekThing.
So I think in college, my favorite DVD that I owned was probably either Miss Congeniality or Mean Girls.
Mean Girls is an awesome movie.
It's awesome! So good. It's so fetch.
Oh my goodness.
You know. So good. This movie is amazing. And now, since then, I've gotten rid of all of my DVDs and even my Blu-rays, and I've just like hand-braked everything to my computer so that I have a nice little NAS backup.
I keep all of any movies I keep, even if I've ripped them, or CDs, I still keep the physical copy. In part because for a lot of the music I've got, I will never be able to replace that CD, or in some cases, like,
Yeah, totally.
I nearly paid $88 for a Trampled by Turtles CD, but I got it for a mere $48. It's like their second album and it hasn't been in print forever.
Cool.
Their first album, I'm still waiting for a cheap copy because it's like $150.
If I have a signed DVD or CD or something, I'll keep it.
Right.
But that's it.